7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
This is Eat and Drink with Ali Hassan and Marco Timpano, the podcast where back of house Ali and front of house Marco talk food and drink. Heads up, these two spent decades in restaurants, so some mature content and language is bound to come up. Get ready for Eat and Drink. Forks up.
You're listening to Eat and Drink.
Welcome. It's happening.
It is.
It's happening.
I'm Marco Timpano.
I'm Ali Hassan. I'm going to start off with my main concern today, which is that Marco may not have enough colored pens in front of him.
I know.
There are about 12 pens of different colors. I wish sometimes I could just be in your mind.
Yeah.
Just the way you see the world. I feel like it would be a more exciting place for
You
me.
know, it's almost like I have a Hello Kitty backpack full
Yeah.
of like... And what's funny is I've got this at ready in case I need...
There's an orange, bright orange, like some of these guys who work on the highway and you have to see them. It's that color. It's a pencil case. It says highlighters on it, and in it are highlighters, as you might expect.
If you look at my notes that I have in front of me, it's like a rainbow of colors.
I know, but that's what I say. I feel like it's an exciting place. And I only do that with my taxes. Like I have my taxes in front of me now. I'm like, I got to remember, I got to highlight this number, this company. But why not life? Why not always?
For me, it's about organization.
Yeah.
I can be very disorganized, so if I color code and have things set out in front of me with different colors and I have pens accessible, I'm good to go.
Well, colors, as it turns out, not to be Joey Segway over here, but colors
Good old
are... Joey Segway always says colors are good, especially when you're talking about hot chili peppers, and that's what we're talking about. They come in all shapes and sizes and colors. The world of chilies, if you know the world of chilies, it's big, it's broad. There's a lot. Every country has their own chili, and every country says our chili's the best, and every country's, of course, wrong about that, right?
This is the chili episode.
This is what
Let
we're
me
gonna do.
ask you a question. How do you spell chili?
This is the thing, right?
Yeah.
This is because if you go CHILI, people are like, oh, with some meat and beans in it. And you're like, no, absolutely not. Although I could add chili to your chili and really light it up.
Right.
Yeah. I think as often as possible, I try to go LLIES. I try to talk about it in the plural so that it's clear.
Because I was thinking, how are we going to name this? Like, how are we going to spell chili in this episode, right? So I looked into it.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, in North America, they spell it like chili, like the Mexican dish.
Yeah.
So CHILI.
Okay.
But in North America, if you say that, one's going to expect chili con carne.
Well, that's it. Imagine being in a restaurant and go, can I have some chili? And then somebody shows up with a bowl of red kidney beans, and you're like, this is not at all.
Nope.
Now I got to eat this, though.
But in Spanish, in Latin American country, in Mexico, they spell it the way that you had said with the IE.
Yeah.
Or the IE. And then in Britain, the UK, and some British colonies like South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, they spell it CHILLI.
Yes.
So I just found that fascinating.
Yeah. To complicate matters, we live in Canada where it sometimes gets chilly.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Very true.
And what can heat us up? But a good bowl of chili with chilies in it.
Before we get to our chilies,
Yes.
I'm going to make us a drink that's going to complement the food item that we're going to have today, which is
Amazing.
chili. So Aaliyah was like, okay, what goes with chili? Like, what is the perfect cocktail drink? And beer goes great, I think, with hot, spicy food, right?
Agreed.
And then I was like, yeah, but we're probably going to have a beer episode because you're quite a beer connoisseur. Is that fair to say?
I drink it a lot. Does that make me a connoisseur?
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen.
Beer's my thing.
You don't have to be a beer maker or a beer meister or whatever you call someone who makes beer
To be a connoisseur.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a beer episode down the line. So I'm not gonna waste that moment to make a beer episode to make a beer drink.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm gonna make a drink that takes the punch out of the heat if it's too hot. So
Just to let people know, this is a very exciting moment for me. Every time Marco reaches for his accessories So he's got the martini shaker. He's got the shot glass, which one end is the 1 ounce. You flip it over, it's a 2 ounce. Looks like a beautiful brass. It's brass color, and I don't usually see that. Kraken rum. Hey, I'm already saying there's milk and there's rum on the table.
Okay, so I chose a cocktail that has milk because generally speaking, if you have the heat, you're going to temper that with milk or yogurt or something like that. Is that fair to say?
Of course.
I think a lot of Indian cuisine will have yogurt dishes.
Yeah.
Is that to temper the heat?
Probably. I think the yogurt and the cream was also, there was a catering to your guests kind of element. You know, like, oh, let's not show them, we can't serve them beans, getting back to chili, we can't serve them beans. Let's serve them meat. And what would go well with meat to show that we are rich and we take care of our guests? But some cream. And then when cream, people realize how fattening it is, they're like, let's just put yogurt. I think that's part of it as well.
I forgot the ice, so I had to go to the kitchen.
I know.
This,
Listen, nobody even knew you were gone. I was
know,
here talking to myself like I
could hear you, but I really wasn't paying attention. So I'm putting ice in a shaker. Oh, don't worry about it.
You're all over the place
all
here.
Over the place. The ice fell on the floor. You know what it is, because I have the recipe. Put on the recipe. All right. Got a couple of ice cubes here. Don't worry, I'll pick them up in a second. What we're going to do is we're going to make milk punch.
Yeah.
It's a cocktail that is pre-colonial and is found a lot in New Orleans. So I just figured, you know what? Let's go with a milk-based cocktail.
I think it's great that you're using rum, too, because the pepper that I was going to focus on today was the Scotch bonnet pepper, found in the Caribbean, where also one would say, rum flows freely.
Yeah, complimentary.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a fascinating thing about wine, too. If you're ordering wine and you're having a traditional sort of ethnic dish, order the wine from that area, and it generally speaking is going to complement that well. So I just put in 4 ounces of milk.
Yeah,
because we're doing 2. So it's a 2 ounce milk. It's supposed to be 1.5 ounces of bourbon. So I'm going to get the bourbon, but I'm going to put 3 ounces because we're having this together.
Yeah.
So
I just want to let people know that Marco and I don't plan this together. I tell him I want to do something with a Scotch bonnet pepper. He doesn't ask me what, and then he goes, "Great, I'll make an accompanying drink."
Cocktail. There you go. So that's 3 ounces of bourbon, and now I'm going to do 1 ounce of dark rum. I'm just going to spill things, man. I'm just going to spill things.
Marco, it's just me. It's Ali. You know, I put my pants on one leg at a time. You don't got to be nervous around me.
You're right. I don't think I have enough ice in here, to be honest with you.
Well, there's some on the ground I could pick up.
No, you're not going to pick up the ground ice. But what I might do is just grab and then some simple syrup.
I can entertain myself here while you get some ice.
You know what?
If you like,
I'm going to let you.
Yeah. So this is excellent. I mean, what I'm going to be making food-wise is very simple, but it's going to bring the heat and anything that can cut that. In fact, even my recipe has some honey in it to cut the heat of the heat. That's how hot it is.
Okay, I can smell the booze in this.
Yes, you can. I mean,
it's like,
well, when bourbon and rum get together,
they have a good time.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's shake this up. Let's see. I hope this turned out nicely.
I like when Marco's moving around. It's exactly the way it shows that you have years of bartending, bar experience, because you're moving around. It's like the way I cook. When I go to my mother's house, my mother would be like, "You're not in the restaurant. Who's going to pick up this stuff that's flying on the ground?" I'm like, "Oh, we don't have some guy, the dishwasher, the line cook. Somebody will come by." No, obviously I'm joking with her when I say that, but yeah, it's the same way. You don't. Just because you're in your house at a table doesn't mean you change your movements.
No, you know, it's interesting. And I think a lot of people fear making cocktails because they're like, oh, what if I don't do it right? What if... Just go for it.
Of course.
Mix, make a mistake. You can always remake it. It's not a big...
This is it. You got to approach it the same way you approach food, with a sense of adventure and hopefulness and curiosity. It's not always going to work.
I'm going to take a bit of nutmeg and grate it on top.
I feel like Santa's going to walk in the door.
I know, it has a Christmassy sort of feel to it, but this is the classic milk punch cocktail.
And that's the name? Does it have any
Milk
other
punch.
name?
Milk punch. Simple. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's see how this tastes.
Hey,
it
I
has
don't
got
know
a-
how it's supposed to taste, but I like that exactly the way it is.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. That makes me happy. That makes,
Is that stronger than it normally is, or is that exactly where we want it?
No, I think that's where we want it.
Okay.
It's a nice drink that you can have for brunch. It's a daytime drink, you know.
Is there a drink you can't have for brunch? Are there ones that are like...
Yeah, I would say brunch cocktails should be light and fun and fruity and flavorful,
Yeah.
milky. You don't necessarily want a really bitter, harsh, strong.
That's the end of the day when the world has punched you in the face a few times.
Yeah, and I think brunch you wanna be able to drink a lot of drinks.
Yeah. Oh,
Whereas
that's good.
sometimes when you have a really strong like whiskey cocktail or
settles,
whiskey, or even
yeah.
just like a whiskey on the rocks, to me that's not a brunch drink.
Got it.
Now, we mentioned that we're based out of Toronto. We're a Toronto podcast, if you will.
Yeah.
I got to say, I think we have some of the best food, best restaurants in the world in this city. Because I went to a
I feel
restaurant
like you
last
might be
night.
biased.
And I admit it.
You'll own that.
I own it, and I don't care. But
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of places.
It's undeniable.
And New York has great food. San Francisco has great food. Yes. But for variety and for price point, you can go to a great inexpensive restaurant. You can go to a great expensive restaurant. You can go to different ethnicities. You can go to pan-ethnicity restaurants. You can go to Canadian restaurants. I just love it.
Yeah.
I do.
No, it's
and
great.
I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm not going to take that Canadian approach where it's like, oh yeah, we're great, but
No, I like what you're doing.
No.
I like, and the time for apologizing for who we are, whatever it is, in music, in our acting talent, in our comedic talent, and now more than ever in food, I think that ship has sailed, and see you later, don't come back. I think we should own what we have, and we should be proud of it.
I'm proud of it. When someone points out that I say out and about and all that, I'm like, yeah, that's how I speak.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
Just because I'm in a different country or not. Oh, you can tell you're Canadian. Good. I'm proud.
You know, it's fun. I remember, this is going back like 20 years. I was still a teen. I'm visiting my cousin in Indianapolis. And he's got his funds. His friends are there. We're all hanging out. I go, man, it is hot out, eh? And they freaked out over the A.
Yeah.
They were like, it's true. Canadians do it. And it made me so paranoid. And I was like, oh, what should I be saying?
Yeah.
And is a huh better than an A?
Yeah.
Is it? It's, hey, man, it's what I do. And it's not the most ridiculous thing ever. It's called an accent or an affectation. And it happens because of where I'm from. And, there are worse things that could come out of your mouth, for God's sake. Come on, what am I so embarrassed about?
True. And there's worse things you can put in your mouth.
Absolutely.
Put chilies there.
Yeah.
But I want to say this, like, that is my regional dialect, and I'm happy to speak it. So, if you're listening and you're not from Canada, come to Toronto. This is also a welcome for our listeners. Come enjoy our food, enjoy our city, enjoy what we have to offer.
Sure. I was just telling Marco that a friend of mine, his thing is, he and his wife have paid up their mortgage. They like to travel. They like to go and eat. So he's gone to Copenhagen to eat. He has other destinations in mind. He was thinking about Helsinki potentially, and that's great. But he could also just drive 4 hours to Toronto and have an incredible weekend of eating.
Yeah.
And I do that in other cities.
So what? Okay, let me ask you that.
Stops me from
What
doing that here?
is a city besides Toronto where you go and you're like, I'm going to eat well here?
Every city I go to that is a major city, I seek out those places. So I go to Winnipeg every year for the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. I know I'm going to have brunch at Clementine. I know I'm going to go to Deer and Almond. I know I'm going to go try Segovia. It's a tapas place. These are the places in my mind. I already got it set out. Ottawa, nation's capital, has got such amazing food. There's this duo, a chef named Jordan and his partner, their name escapes me, but they have 3 restaurants right now, all named after cars. So El Camino, Datsun, and Riviera, all old classic cars, and each one of them brings something different to the table and is amazing. And then there's about a dozen other places in Ottawa. Like it's become where you go to Ottawa and you're like, can't wait to get out of here. And now 3 days isn't enough.
Wow.
I need a 4th day so I can go to Aylmer and try the best brunch that this small Central American woman is making. And she's just apparently she's pregnant. She's not going to be there for much longer. So they like time is of essence.
Right.
And
But that's if you're going to Elmer, you're crossing the border.
I am.
You're
So
in
that's
Quebec.
technically Quebec.
There
That's
you go.
right.
But just a pinch away from Ottawa.
Pinch away, you know. In fact, when I go with the kids, it's a shame.
Right.
Just too many kids. You can't take them to a nice restaurant. We went to Quebec City last year, and I was like, I know what I'm missing, and I'm upset about
There you
it.
go.
But yeah, every city, and some cities are tougher. You know,
Is there a city that you've ever been to where you were surprised? You're like, man, for me, it was Omaha. Omaha, Nebraska, great city. And then the food was just a level above what my expectations were. And I know the fault lies in myself, expecting that I wasn't going to get great cuisine.
Yes.
But shout out to Omaha, Nebraska. It was fantastic. The meat there, the scene there, the variety of restaurants, top notch.
Well, I feel like that touches on something that we sometimes forget, that every city will have something great to offer. You just got to find it. You got to talk to locals. You got to do a little bit of research. Where did you go? Prince George?
Yeah, Prince George, BC.
So Prince George, BC, not necessarily known for food, and yet you had one of the best pizzas you've ever had.
It was amazing, and it was Batula Burning, and it was a restaurant that they just used birch wood in their ovens to make the pizza, and I was like, all right, guys, relax with the birch wood. Kind of like, birch wood is an inexpensive wood. Prince George is a logging town, or there's a lot of logs that come through that city. And so we went there, and I was skeptical. I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm in central BC. What do they know about pizza? Now they're going to feed me a pizza that they've cooked with their birch wood. And it was like a slap in the face. It was like, wow, this pizza dough has a nutty flavor that's imparted by the birch wood.
Yeah.
This pizza is fantastic. And I wasn't expecting it in this sort of northern town. Yeah.
It's terrific. Look, I mean, Canada, U.S., this country made of immigrants. Immigrants bring something amazing with them. Their food, other things as well. But I focus on the food, and you just got to seek out people. And sometimes it means going to a restaurant in a small town where they're trying to cater to the North American palate, but you just have to go, I want to eat what you guys eat.
And it's interesting you say that. I think we have an abundance of riches because of all the different people that have come to the city to influence. Because while it can be argued that, you're in Italy, you're going to get great food, and I've, lived and worked there, and yes, that's true, but you're not going to get things outside of the Italian cuisine menu. There are some Chinese restaurants, there are a couple of other sort of ethnic restaurants, but they pale in comparison, not only to what we have in North America and say in other parts of the world, but certainly not the quality that you're going to get elsewhere. So
I'm going to end that entire travel portion by saying don't eat buffets. Just stay away from the buffets because you are not experiencing life. You just reminded me when you were saying in Italy you don't have... So people go, a buffet, I get to try it. No, you get to try all the worst of the worst. There's nothing... A buffet is when you don't know how to do anything well, you just do a bunch of mediocre stuff at the same time. That's what I believe.
If you're ever wondering, like, how can I make Marco angry?
Yes.
Take him to a buffet. Take me to a buffet. I worked...
We've never even had this conversation. It's just so amazing that we would both hate buffets this much.
When I was waitering, I hated serving at buffets.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go to a buffet and the people at the buffet are animals. You're like, guys, relax. Like,
it's a buffet. There's a lot
and
for
they
everybody.
And so, you know what? I bet we're going to have like a buffet episode.
We have to have a buffet episode. I worked, I managed a restaurant, Bombay Palace, now defunct, rest in hell, whatever. I no tears lost for that place. But it was a buffet, and it was terrible. And it was like, Montreal's best and biggest buffet. And I'm like, these are not compliments to yourself. This is bad news. And there's only two ways you can go on a buffet. You know what? We'll save it for
well, we're gonna have a buffet episode. Yeah. We're gonna get into Chili's. I just want to say to our listeners, if you have your favorite restaurant in your city and you want to send us an email, do that. Look at our show notes. You'll know where to do it, and maybe we'll talk about it, or maybe when we're in your city, we'll check out that place.
Yes.
Recommendations are always awesome. No,
we're gonna leave our families and travel together and eat. We're gonna eat our way into death. Yeah.
What a way to go.
What a way to go, man. When I was into music as a kid, I remember like the Rolling Stones and Ozzy, all these guys would be like, I'm going to keep rocking till I die, man. Well, we're going to keep eating till we die. That's it.
He was a great man, and that foie gras that he had that ended his life was probably the best he's ever.
He died doing what he loved.
there you
Man,
go.
if I fell asleep to my death
Yeah.
with a piece of foie gras in my mouth, nobody, like, it would be the best funeral ever.
Yeah.
People would be like, this is so perfect. He did it exactly the way he should have done it.
Okay, the only time I want a buffet is at my casket.
Yes.
And I want a buffet of the best food from different restaurants in the city.
Lying on your casket?
And you come, you pay your respects, and then you leave with a plate. How
So
great would
good.
that be?
So good.
That's what I want.
So
Ali, make it
good.
happen, all right?
Oh my God!
All right,
Okay,
Chili's.
We're gonna
Chili's.
work on your will after this show. All right.
Chili's.
I don't know what your experience is with Chili's. My family comes from India, Pakistan. We feel like the green chili, just a very simple, small green chili, is the best, is the hottest. And then, you get into your teens, you start meeting people from outside your social circle, your ethnic circle, and you meet Jamaicans,
Yes.
you meet people from Thailand and Laos, and then you go to their homes. And you realize, holy cow,
Yeah.
this is a crazy world out there, and what we thought was the best is not even. It's part of an amazing group of foods. All these chilies out there in the world. So I'm so happy to get that introduction at a young age.
It's
And
as if chili unites different cultures.
I
It's
think
it's
so.
the fruit that unites.
It is a fruit that unites. It's also, there's a competitive element to it,
Sure.
right? It always turns into a pissing contest with so many people, and it need not be that. We all benefit.
It's the
Olympics.
Olympics of fruit.
Yeah.
Because it's what unites countries and where the
Pits
competition.
them against each other. Absolutely. Now, Pakistani, Muslim, Canadian, however, I'm an honorary member of a bunch of different. I'm an honorary Goan. Goa being a
Love it.
province in India, region in India, just because of my Goan friends, and they would have us over at Christmas all the time.
Portuguese influence in Goa, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, my friends are all de Mellos and de Souzas and Fernandez because the Portuguese really had their impact there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also an honorary Trini. I'm an honorary
love it.
Trinidadian, and that took a while. That didn't happen overnight.
They don't give you that pass.
No, and nor should they. My friend Dave Deonarine, God bless him. I know his family so well, an extended family, and we were good friends, but we didn't connect on the chili thing. His parents would come over to visit him in Hull when I was in Hull, or they would come to Montreal. We'd order some pizza, and then they would start putting the pepper sauce, Scotch bonnet, basically almost like a paste, but they would put the pepper sauce on the pizza, and they'd be like, "Ali, should we put some on your slice?" And I'm like, "Of course. What am I not gonna? No, leave mine without. Of course you are."
Sure.
And I would start to sweat, and I would be like, "No, I really love this."
Yeah.
And to look at me, you'd be like, he doesn't love this. But I really did. But the sweat was really
Intense.
and forthcoming. And I remember, his Dave's dad used to be like, he liked the pepper, but the pepper don't like him. It would always like some joke. I'm like, no, I like the pepper. The pepper likes me. This is going to be fine. And to my credit, I worked up to a point.
Nice.
Within a decade, I was making my own pepper sauces at home, asking recipes of various, grandmothers are always the best. And then you go to like Trinidadian homes and they have like, they'll say like this, we call this pepper the 5-pot pepper because you can cook 5 pots of food with this pepper.
Wow.
However, they never do that. They
Right.
flip it. They put 5 peppers in one pot of curry, and it's intense, but it is... I've always said chilies in general, not just a Scotch bonnet, but something about chilies, it's euphoric.
Right.
It's like a drug, as a caterer, I would always add some element of heat to a meal, and you just witness it. People start talking quicker. They
Right.
get a little lightheaded. They get a little loose. It's kind of a social lubricant, not unlike booze.
Sure. Well, it's interesting you should say that because the capsaicin that is in peppers is used in a lot of medicinal purposes. So yeah, that's true. Every pepper has its own sort of heat level.
Yeah.
And so like if you're looking at the Scoville heat units and stuff, the Scotch bonnet, which is the pepper the chili we're going to be looking at today, is pretty high up there.
It is.
It is.
It is. It's a sweet heat, and nobody Unless you know the pepper,
Yeah.
nobody else is like, no, there's nothing sweet about that. But if you know peppers, there is a little bit of a sweetness, like when you have like a red pepper, a bell pepper.
Sure.
It has a sweetness to it. You can taste a hint of that. And so what I do is I add honey to sort of accentuate that sweetness. But the heat is definitely there.
Okay, so
as well.
what are we trying today? Let's
So
get into
we're
that.
going to
Okay.
try. This is an ode to a green-eyed, dreadlocked Rasta man that I met years ago. This is about 25 years ago. It was in in Montreal. We were trying to do the Cara Fiesta parade, which in Toronto is called Caravana.
Right.
Montreal was trying to do Cara Fiesta. So you go with this parade along the route, and then it ends up in this grassy, kind of above a reservoir is this grassy field.
Grassy knoll,
If you will. No deaths occurred, but
Okay, fair
one
enough.
almost occurred, which I'll tell you about. So, now it's the whole parade has ended there. So it's all these stalls, these outdoor stalls with people selling food under their little tent. And I lose my friend Dave, the same Dave Dionarine, the Trini friend of mine.
Nice.
But I see this place that has Trini food, and I wait in line. 15 people deep. I wait. Sun, July, Montreal sun is pretty hot, just beaming down on me. Finally, I get to the front, and I say, I'll have a pilau. Pilau is like, some people might know a pilau. It's a rice dish with meat in it and made with the broth of that meat. So you can have a chicken pilau or a goat or, beef pilau. So I ordered the chicken pilau.
Nice.
And as I'm saying that, somebody comes in, Bud's in line beside me, and he goes, make that too, boy. And I'm like, what? And it's my friend Dave. I'm like, where have you been?
Right.
You just let me wait in this line the whole time? He goes, man, I was talking to some people, this and that. And then he says to this guy, and that was the green-eyed man with the dreadlocks, he goes, and put plenty pepper, boy. And so, I'm like, all right, well, not to be outdone, plenty pepper for me as well.
Yeah.
And the man did not even look at me. He looked at my friend. He goes, this boy's ass gonna bleed tonight. And I'm like, I'm right here.
Right.
Have the decency to look at me. And so he took this squeeze bottle, like a ketchup squeeze bottle, and just into the side of the pilau. And I take it, confident that if my friend can do it, I can do it. I don't know why I would think that. This guy's like, as an infant, he was probably eating pepper sauce. Anyway, so I sit outside again in the heat. So I'm already sweating from the heat, and I try this pilau with this pepper sauce in it, mixed into it. Rookie move. You just mix it right in like an idiot. Now you don't even have any. And I just started sweating so profusely, and it was so hot. I remember my friend Ravi coming over and going, what are you eating? I'm like, it's so hot, man. He goes, he tries a bite. He goes, holy shit, man. Oh my God, where's water? And he had to go wait in a lineup of 15 people for a bottle of water. My friend Karen came over, and she was like, why would you do this to yourself? I was like, no, I like it. And I remember just lying in the grass, because the grass was the only cool thing.
Sure.
Ravi hadn't gotten any water yet. Yep. I lying in the cool grass, my sweat just falling into the green grass, and saying, if this is the end, it hasn't been so bad.
Okay.
And I really thought I was good. I felt like a little bit like hallucinating. I really felt like a mess. Like I'd done some mushrooms. And now, fast forward 20 years, and I make my own pepper sauce that makes others hallucinate.
Oh man, now I'm nervous. That's set up to Marco's going to try this. Well, my background's Italian. I'm an Italian Canadian, and when it comes to spiciness and chilies in Italy, you're looking at the southern part of Italy.
Yes,
the northerns tend
all
to.
depends on where you're from,
right?
Yeah.
My dad is from the south. My mom is from the north. So when it came to Italian cuisine, from my dad's part, Calabria in particular, there was always pepperoncino.
Yeah.
And you'll notice it in particular when you're getting the salamis from Italy. If you're having a salami from the north, a Genoa salami, it's going to be sweet. It'll have peppercorns in it, that kind of pepper, but it's not going to have the chilies or the pepperoncino. And then if you go to the south, you're looking at soppressatas, you're looking at a hotter type salami. Sure. But in no way is it the heat that you're going to get from a Scotch bonnet, because that's not native or indigenous to Italy, right?
Right.
So I find it fascinating. I love having spice, but I remember when I was in Mumbai, I was in a restaurant with some colleagues, and I was like, I want this dish. And I go, I want it the way you would have it here in India. And they looked at me and they're like, with
You don't
spice?
want that.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, I want it with spice. And they looked at me like, I don't know. I'm like, listen, just do it. If I can't handle it, I'll put it aside. I'll modify it in some way, shape, but I want to have it the way it's intended to have it, right?
Yeah.
And no word of a lie. I'm there, eating it. I see the staff all watching me to see what's this white guy gonna do when he eats the way we eat, right? And yeah, it was spicy, it was hot. I had a beverage that complemented it, so I didn't go crazy, but it was fantastic. And I looked at all my other colleagues who are all like, butter chicken, butter chicken, butter chicken. I'm like, guys, like we're here. We're here. Try, venture. Okay, ask them to modify it. Ask them to take it down a notch, but eat the cuisine of the place. All right, so I have an avocado in front of me.
You have an avocado.
Half avocado.
Again, I also try to have some sympathy and mercy on both of us.
Sure.
Not just you, brother. I mean, this is a really crazy batch.
Okay.
I open up one, I slice one of these peppers, and it just hits me in the eye. I was wearing a toque at the time, and I just wanted to remove my toque.
Okay.
This is just from smelling it.
Yeah.
So this is insane. So
This
what
is
I
the
do...
Scotch bonnet
This is a Scotch bonnet.
on this half slice of avocado.
Half slice. So you'll notice I just really put it in the center because you may need some avocado to counter it after. And if you don't, even better.
Right.
Did I give you a spoon?
No.
So
Thanks.
I have this. I have this.
All right.
And what it is it's so simple. It's a puree of Scotch bonnet peppers. I put them in some... I blanch them in boiling hot water to get rid of any germs.
Okay.
Nothing will live in this. Nothing will live and grow in this. This will
Right.
last for a very long time.
It's interesting, that the pepper itself, chili peppers, part of the theory is that they have the heat so that insects and molds won't grow on them.
Yeah.
And only mammals can feel the heat. So birds, and that's why chilies are found all over the world, or how they get sort of cross-pollinate or cross whatever.
Yeah.
Because birds can eat chilies, take the seeds, and deposit them elsewhere, and they won't feel the heat.
Come on!
They use chilies in parts of Africa to keep elephants out of their crops, because elephants will sort of stomp around, and they're sensitive to chilies, so they'll put it in the perimeters of crops. So yeah.
But you can't keep insects away.
Insects will avoid.
They will as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll avoid it.
Birds.
Birds are like,
Birds are soulless.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah. You call
All
it
right.
a chili?
Yeah.
Okay, so just so you know, it's a puree of that pepper, garlic, some lime juice, some apple cider vinegar, and salt.
Okay.
And I added honey because, as I said, there's a sweet heat. I like to accentuate that.
Oh, yeah. It's got a nice little prick off the top.
Right off the top.
It's like you feel it.
Yeah.
And then it stays with you. It's just like, we're going for this ride, and I'm gonna be your constant companion in your mouth. I like that. Exactly. It's like an Eagles record in my mouth, is what it's like.
Take it easy. I sing to my avocado. So this is yours. Now, this is a tiny...
That's lovely. Thank you.
So this is a tiny mason jar.
Oh, that's amazing.
I would say it's a quarter cup, a third cup of the paste of the pepper sauce in here. This is, you can add it to an omelet. Now, I'm talking about 1/8 of a teaspoon.
Okay.
Whip it into an omelet. You get a nice light spice, and it's all across the omelet. As you've seen, guacamole, if you made a guacamole with this avocado, it's great. And
really,
again...
To be quite honest with you,
Yeah.
You don't need to go past this for a nice guacamole.
No,
avocado,
agreed.
A little pinch of this.
Yeah,
and
maybe a little extra lime juice. Maybe I would even
a bit of salt.
Yeah,
and your tortilla chips. This is great.
You're off to the races.
This is wonderful.
Now this will give an incredible amount of life to your guacamole, your omelets, any stew you make. The OG chili we were talking about. Well, not the OG, but the kidney beans and beef. You add some of this to that. But again, you go 1/8 of a teaspoon at a time, and you
for me, this should be your replacement for any of those hot sauces you get at stores. Whether it's the one that has the guy's name on it,
right?
The one that has the Mexican mama holding a basket or whatever.
Right.
Any of those chilies, any of those sauces, which are great and fine. And if you're in a restaurant, that's what they give you. Go with it.
Yeah.
But in your home, how long did it take you to make this?
I would say a total of 10 minutes, and that's only because I boiled some peppers. Otherwise, it's a 2-minute process.
Yeah. And so you would grab some Scotch bonnets.
Yeah. Put them in boiling water for under a minute. That's really just to kill any germs. I mean, you just think about the people who are picking the peppers and all that. You want to just clean that.
Or in the stores where people are going to handle it.
Loose handling, absolutely. And then you remove the seeds. You put them in a processor, lime. Excellent. Lime.
I'm putting more on my avocado.
Yes,
that's the response.
I'm coming into there too. Lime. Apple cider vinegar was my own touch. I feel it adds a nice sweetness as well. Honey, I really, really like in it.
Yeah.
In Trinidad, Dave's grandmother used to tell me they would make a pepper sauce and then they would put it out in the summer heat outside. as if a pepper in Trinidad wouldn't be hot enough.
Right.
They would put it outside to like almost kind of cook it, get it even more intense.
Get it angry, man.
Yeah.
Do you know that if you stress a pepper plant,
Yeah.
it's going to make it hotter? So, for example, if you have a Scotch bonnet pepper plant and you don't water it as much as it needs, the plant will be stressed and it will produce a hotter pepper.
Is that right?
I'm going to try the milk punch to see how it combats the heat.
I just did, and I feel good about it.
It's great. It's great. We're having avocados with chili and a
But
strong
that rum makes it sing as well.
a strong milk punch. It's pretty great. Now, what do you look for when you're buying chilies? What do you look for when you're buying chilies?
There's a freshness, There's a rather than being. I'm sure they're equally good when they're wilted and
Sure.
A little bit. They're soft to the touch, but if you get like a robust pepper, no real blemishes of any
Right.
kind. They can be any shape. They can be big
Right.
or
The
small.
look
or
doesn't
whatever.
matter.
The look of it doesn't matter, but it's actually the texture of the skin.
Okay.
I always like that. And when it's not as hot as this, I also like taking a quarter of it and just, when you eat Indian food or when you eat West Indian
Sure.
food, you have roti or the dal puri, just a sliver with each bite or each second bite. A tiny, tiny sliver each time. Really, it just lights things up.
Okay, so in Canada, one of the cocktails that we're known for is a Bloody Caesar, which is like a Bloody Mary, but we use Clamatos juice.
Right.
Put a little bit of this in that, as opposed to horseradish,
Yep.
and it's gonna make.
That's a Trinidadian go-to. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Trinidad. Thank you,
Yeah.
Trinidadian Canadians, for like you got to just thank these cultures that bring
Absolutely.
these things, man. So we're probably going to do more episodes on chilies. Today we looked at the Scotch bonnet.
How it's hurt us and helped us.
Now, honestly, I'm going to appeal to our listeners to make this kind of a sauce. Keep it in your fridge when you're having an omelet. When you need a little dash of spice.
Yeah.
This is and you know what? It stayed with me, but now it's
Eventually it goes.
It goes.
I see a little color in your face.
Yeah.
I know what's happening on my head right now.
Sure.
Open pores, It's great, man.
okay.
If you ever have guests over, sorry, Mark,
No,
if you
no,
ever
no.
have guests who are a little bit uptight and not really communicating with each other and you feel like a failure as a host, here's the lubricant right here.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then have
And
them
some guacamole.
have them touch their eye.
Nah,
No.
that's when you really hate your guests. I gotta get rid
That's
of
for
my...
your boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, I was gonna say something now I can't remember.
why I
No.
hate them.
Oh yeah, if you've got a stuffed nose,
yeah.
sinus issues, bit of that, man.
Yeah.
Put that in your food.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, I always go for heat. I always go for spice. I'll go for Korean food.
Yeah.
And put their spice in it.
Korean is great. You get one of these kimchi soups,
Yeah.
and sometimes you
Soon
just go to
tofu.
the owner in these
Yep.
smaller places and say, "Look, I'm feeling a little under the weather. What do you have?" And then they just sort of give you a wink and like, "I'm going to take care of you." And there's a placebo effect there too. You're like somebody from another country who has immigrated here, who has this plethora of like secret ways of healing. You
Yeah.
think to yourself,
Yeah.
"He's about to give me something healing." It's good. It always is good.
It can't hurt.
No, it can't hurt.
And I want to say this for the record, because I don't want it to be misinterpreted. When people in different cultures and different cuisines, different restaurants, look at you and you're like, are you sure you can handle the heat? They're not doing it to be offensive or to undermine you. They're doing it because they
need to
want you to
protect
have
you.
they want you to have the right experience.
Yeah.
And they know that what might be right or what their spice level might be at might not be where yours is, and they just want to ensure that you're not going to have. So I'm not trying to fault or point fingers when I said, I was in Mumbai and they looked at me and they're like, "Are you sure you want this?"
Oh, yeah.
Not at all. In fact, I respect that. When I was working in the restaurant, if somebody wasn't familiar with a certain dish,
Yeah.
I was happy to explain. I never looked at them like, "Oh, you don't know what Parmigiano is?"
Yeah.
Fine. I'm here. This is what I'm here to tell you about it.
Absolutely. And there's a restaurant in Toronto called Pai, Pai. Great Thai restaurant. They have different levels of spicy, mild, medium, hot, and then farang spicy, which farang is the word for foreigner. Even in Hindi, farangi means foreigner, and then Thai spicy.
Not to be mistaken with a Ferengi. from Star Trek.
I know, not at all. I don't know what his heat tolerance was.
They're still foreigners on the ship. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
It's a real nerdy moment right there, and I do know that moment also, but I never made that connection. But farang spicy means foreigner spicy. Now, some people might be like, I've been eating Thai food my whole life. I'm no foreigner.
Right.
But that's just your problem with yourself.
Yeah.
That's your own problem that's going to get you in a lot of trouble. I had a pad thai the other day, farang spicy. It was plenty spicy,
Sure.
and it was amazing. And that's the lesson. You know, my buddy Dave from Trinidad said, in Trinidad, we always say, make it hot, hot, hot. And you say it 3 times. When it's cold, you go cold, cold. But when it's hot, you go make it hot, hot, hot.
Yeah.
He goes, never in your life, I don't care what happens, never order anything hot, hot, hot in Trinidad.
Right.
Because we were in Trinidad for his wedding for
Okay.
a week, and he said, that's just a no-go. He goes, I can't handle that.
It's a death sentence.
Right.
Right.
So who are you trying to be? Don't be
Yeah.
a hero.
Don't be a hero. No
They're
way-
trying to help you.
Exactly. Exactly. So, take it with a grain of spice is what I say.
Exactly. Drink it with a grain of spices. That should be our new saying. Now, are we? Are we
Yeah,
ready
we're
for
on our segment.
Okay.
So we had the sort of appetizer round.
Yeah.
Our chilies was the main course. We're on to dessert.
This is dessert, and dessert for us, which we hope will be dessert for you as well. All right. At least a sweet moment for you is a segment that we call "What's in Marco's Mouth."
What's in Marco's mouth? That's right. What's in Marco's mouth? It's nothing dirty. Will he guess it? Will he mess it? Let's find out. What's in Marco's mouth?
And I just want to start by saying I don't love this segment.
No,
I really don't. You
don't,
love
but
it.
I feel like people will. I feel like I do too much.
You said this. I think this would be a great segment, and I was always apprehensive of it. And they're like, I think it's going to be a great segment. So I'm like, all right, we're going to do it. And basically, I'm going to put on a blindfold. Ali's going to put something in my mouth.
Yes.
And then I'm going to have to figure out what it is.
It's always food. Before you tune out,
Yep.
it's always food.
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you for clarifying. And I want to say this. My sister's a super taster.
Yeah. What does that mean?
That means she's got so many taste buds on her tongue.
Yeah.
My sister and my father, that certain foods, they can't handle. Like certain bitter foods are extremely bitter for them,
Okay.
and certain food items they're like, no, I can't deal with this. I'm not a super taster, but they are. And when my sister first told me that, I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, in university, they did this test. They had a big lecture hall, and the professor's like, okay, you're gonna take this paper and put it in your mouth, and we'll see how many super tasters are in the room, and it should be 10% or 5%. And sure enough, and he goes, we'll know who the super tasters are. She's like, put it on her tongue, and she had to run out and find water and go to a fountain. She goes, there was like 7 of us that just ran out of the classroom.
Unreal.
And everyone else was just perfectly
It's a little
fine.
bit cruel of that
Yeah.
professor. Like, we'll all know. Watch this, guys.
Let's see this. I'm not a super taster, but I'm going to do my best to figure out what I'm putting in my mouth. Okay, I'm putting
Yeah.
my blindfold on. All right.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you lead.
Here is the segment we call "What's in Marco's Mouth." Now, yeah, I think this is the way to do it.
Okay.
It's he's got what is that? A sleep mask?
Yeah,
Got a sleep mask on.
it's one that my wife uses on the plane, so I just kind of took
Right.
it and I made it really tight on the back so that I couldn't see underneath it.
Okay, so I'm putting something in. Open that mouth. Open that mouth. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. It's in Marco's mouth. This is too exciting for
Oh,
me,
man.
maybe. I feel like I wish I could do this with multiple people
It's
all
got-
the time. Here we go.
It's got a fibrous taste to it. It's got some fibers to it. I know this taste. It's not my favorite. It's got a little bit of heat on it. Oh man, what is that? What is that? That is okay. It's savory. It's not a fruit. It's got oh man, it's got like a slight fibrous, almost like a pear-like quality, but it's not pear. It's can I have another piece?
Yes, you can. All right. Okay. All right.
man.
Second try. Second
Oh
try.
man.
Let's go.
You put some chili on it. There's some sort
There
of
is a
chili.
marinade
There's a
on-
marinade
yes.
on it. It's got a light. It's not the Scotch bonnet chili that you made that I had.
Open up. Here you go. Second take.
I'm smelling it. I took it out of my mouth, so it's probably really gross for Ali.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we had to explain that to everybody,
Sorry.
but good for you. No, it's important. Smelling it helps.
It's fleshy. It's soft. Oh, I know this thing.
I know.
Oh, you're killing me.
I love the way you describe it because I think people listening might be like, "That's got to be this." They may
for
know.
sure.
Yeah.
It's savory. It's fibrous, but it's got a mushy consistency, but it's solid before you mush into it, and it's savory.
So well described.
Oh, it's almost like a not a bitter melon, but it's like it's got a texture of. Okay, I'm not psychic. I want to say it's going to be green in color. It's going to be. Am I right with that? Green or yellow in color?
The flesh that you just ate is not green in color.
Damn it. Oh, you got me on this.
Gotcha.
You
all
got
right.
me on this. Okay.
That was a wedge of acorn squash.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
It was squash and quality. Yes.
So this is the one I did. So and what I put on it, true to our, staying true to our theme today, was a jerk seasoning. And jerk seasoning. So this is one that I bought. This is one that we have.
I should have said, and I need to say what I'm thinking.
Yes.
And I wanted to say Jamaican. It
Yes.
has a Jamaican flavor to it, but I didn't want to sound racist because I said I didn't like it. But I do like I didn't want to sound like I was. I should have just said. Next time I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say
what's on your mind. So this particular jerk seasoning ingredients: number 1, scallions; number 2, Scotch bonnet peppers. So I was like, we're going to keep it in the Scotch bonnet family. And it was a nice little acorn squash.
Wrong, man.
And you don't like acorn squash?
I do. I don't know. It's just I prefer butternut squash or pumpkin.
Yes. Same.
Oh man!
I got him.
You got me.
My goal is to always get him.
But but is it not yellow in color? Did I not say yellow?
You said it's green. Your exact word was green. And the outside of it is
green.
a mix of green and orange and yellow. Yeah.
Okay.
So then I asked you, are you talking about the fleshy thing? And then I said,
I meant the.
Yeah,
I meant the.
it's a pale yellow.
No, pale yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was wrong. There's no way I can regain from that. But yeah. Thank you for that.
Terrific.
Well,
I'm so exhilarated by this segment.
You did it, man. You did it. Thank you for listening to Eat and Drink.
It's been a pleasure. You get the vibe. You see what we do.
Yeah.
We're not foodies. We're storytellers.
That's right.
We're people who love life, and part of life is food. And
We're Grand Cru eaters without the snobbiness. How's that?
Yes.
I'm gonna say a cheers to your buddy Dave, who we talked about in today's episode.
Mr. Deon Orion.
There
Thank
you
you
go.
so much.
Cheers to you
today.
all.
We hope you got your fill of Eat and Drink with Ali Hassan and Marco Timpano. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Podcast Eat Drink. Email them your cocktail and food suggestions to podcasteatdrink@gmail.com. Until the next episode, bottoms up.